ever since I could remember, she was always writing things down. And I guess she did that until the very end here.
In Bengough, Saskatchewan, Rolanda Niptanatiak holds on to these notes written by her sister Tara. Some of her final thoughts leading up to her death and a series of incidents that have her family scrambling to put the mother of four to rest.
I feel like so much time has passed and I feel like we haven't really gotten anywhere.
Tara Niptanatiak from Cambridge Bay, Nunavut, was living in Calgary when her family last heard from her on February 17th. On the 25th, Calgary Police informed the public a body was discovered inside a waste container in Calgary's Ramsay area. The manner of death determined to be non-criminal, and an investigation as to how the body may have ended up in the waste container is ongoing. But it was only weeks later, on April 13, when Tara's aunt Caroline Robinson in Cambridge Bay learned that body belonged to her niece. After weeks of not hearing from Tara, Robinson flew to Calgary to file a missing persons report.
The officers came out and met me, and that's when he told me that they found her and that she was deceased. And I thought he was lying at first. Didn't want to acknowledge that she was gone.
When speaking with the medical examiner, Robinson says she was told that Tara's family wasn't notified of her death because her last name was incorrect in their records.
They asked me, how do I spell their last name? So I spelled her last name for them. And then the medical examiner said, oh, well, that's supposed to be an A, not a G. The medical examiner said, well, somebody spelled her last name wrong. And I said, what the heck is going on here?
An email from Calgary Police say Tara was found without identification, but later found her name was wrong in the national database. It states that Tara remained unidentified until fingerprints obtained during the autopsy were sent to the national database for comparison. The national database came back with a hit for a name that was not in the Calgary Police Service records. Neither the national database nor the Calgary database shows any links to next of kin. After an autopsy was completed on March 1st, Tara was buried in a Calgary cemetery alone, with the name Tara Niptanatiak marking her grave. According to the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, if next of kin can't be notified, the OCME would work with the Office of the Public Guardian and Trustee, who would manage with a local funeral home for the burial.
Tara was the most kindest person. She would help anybody. She didn't have a mean bone in her body. She lived a life of trauma, only for it to end in a traumatic way.
When taking possession of Tara's belongings, Rolanda found that her sister had applied at treatment centers. She says Tara had struggled with addictions throughout her life, but was sober in her final months.
Tara was very, she was very kind-hearted and very loving, especially towards me. And, we don't have the greatest relationship with our mother, so she kind of took on that role from the very beginning. And in this last month, I have found out a lot of what had happened to Tara in her life, and it makes me really, really proud of her that she was very loving and very kind. She was very funny and very smart. She was always so shy and very outgoing at the same time. And a lot of who I am today is because of her.
Police say they are still reviewing CCTV footage to find out how Tara ended up in a waste container. Meanwhile, Robinson and Rolanda have one goal: to have Tara's body exhumed and brought back to her home community of Cambridge Bay, which would cost the family nearly $10,000.
it's been really exhausting. And it's just been a lot of trying to figure everything out. And it's been very confusing because it's May and she passed away in February and the investigation is still ongoing.
Once put to rest on the land she was deeply connected to, Tara's family will be able to mourn and have some closure. Tamara Pimentel, APTN National News, Calgary.